Welcome to Point Blank. This is your host, Panama Crypto. Today our guest is Zoran. He's one of the sharpest snipers in crypto Twitter. Welcome, Zoran. It's amazing to
Thanks
have
for
you on Point
having me,
Blank.
Panama. Thanks for having me, Panama. It's good to be here.
Awesome. Let's kick it off. So, Zoran, what you have been up to lately?
So lately, I've been on a trading spree, mostly scalping rather than what I usually like to swing trade. But it's been a fun year so far. With all the volatility we've had in all the different markets, it's been a pleasure to trade.
You missed our appointment last week for our podcast. What happened there, man? Can you tell us a bit?
Yeah, so again, I want to apologize for that, man. But I ended up staying up till 8:30 in the morning my time, and I was scalping for about 8 hours straight, taking over 600 trades in that 8-hour span.
How can you pull that off
Yeah,
without a bot or an algo?
So yeah, it was all manual trades, but it was completely just disciplined, emotionless execution is the best way to call it. I see low time frame opportunities, and I just capitalize on them for a few pips.
On what time frame were you trading?
The 5-minute.
Awesome.
So very, very short duration.
So, Zoran, what are your interests besides crypto?
Besides crypto, I'm a really big bodybuilder. That's always been my number one passion, and I think that's what's mostly transferred over to my skill set to be a trader in crypto. Being able to be disciplined, to go to the gym every day, eat correctly. I'm a huge foodie. I love cooking a lot of different foods, whether it's healthy foods or not so healthy foods, staying on track with my macros. So a big foodie, big bodybuilder. I genuinely enjoy just spending time with my pets and my girlfriend. Those are like my three things that keep me together. And that's kind of what is me behind the crypto Twitter screens.
So the training in the gym helps you with the discipline and the routine?
I'd say so, because in order to get up every morning and hit the gym and then come home from the gym, eat correctly, go for a run later, meditate every morning, it takes a certain discipline, and it builds patience, emotional control, and just general ability to persevere through pain. And I think in crypto specifically, but also trading in general, you go through a lot of pain points, and being able to handle that pain and loss and acceptance and move on from it is generally what I think makes me a good trader.
So, Zoran, what is your background?
So my background, it's an interesting question. I don't really have a background per se. I had a normal childhood growing up, and then I went to college for hospitality and business and real estate. Obviously, I didn't end up using my degree at all. I became a trader basically in college. I started trading in college. Because I was trading in college, it actually took me an extra year to graduate. So my background technically would be in hospitality, business, and real estate. But I guess when you talk about the background, it's really, I'm a Serbian ethnicity. I'm a dual citizen of the U.S. and Serbia. And yeah, I think that's really it for background. I don't have anything else other than I'm a college kid who took a little longer to graduate, found an interest in crypto, lost my life savings, and decided I was going to trade my way back up against the market.
By chance, you started also playing poker in college?
No, I actually didn't. So I know that's a question I frequently get, but I never played any poker professionally or anything like that. I mean, I played here and there with friends, but not anything where I can say, oh, I understand poker to an extent that a lot of these crypto traders do. But I know that there's a huge crossover between poker players and traders in general, understanding probabilities and outcomes.
I have a few friends that went pro poker players in college, and I tried to copy paste them, and that didn't end well at all.
Of course not. Whenever you follow someone else's calls or technique strategies blindly, it usually doesn't end well. You need to understand the underlying reason behind it.
Yeah, definitely. So, Zoran, I remember back in 2018, I received an invitation from you to join Crypto Insiders. I was looking through our DMs. It was pretty funny.
That's really funny, man.
How has Crypto Insiders evolved from back then, and what is the future for Crypto Insiders?
Yeah, it's really funny you mentioned that. I was actually, when you sent me that question, I was looking through our DMs and I did see that. I remember reaching out to all the big crypto Twitter personalities back in 2018, just to get kind of my feet wet in the space and try to, mingle with some of the bigger accounts. And that was obviously you to begin with. And I think I asked you to be the chief technical analyst at the time, because I wanted to grow this huge community of people where we could talk trading, talk fundamentals, talk about the ICOs, the shitcoins at the time. It's grown a lot since then, man. It's really taken on a whole life of its own. Crypto Insiders is completely different from when it was back then, but I'm happy to say that it's still the same ethos and the same spirit of the community. It's all for the community. It's not just like this one group where I'm talking and everyone else is listening. No, it's like there's a whole bunch of people in there, some, pretty decent traders in there, all sharing their experience, all sharing their setups, all just discussing the market, whether it's news or trading related, or if it's even fundamentals, maybe some news about institutions, etc. It's taken on a whole life of its own. So yeah, the community has grown tenfold since then. I think when I first talked about it, it was like 1,000. That was in 2018. And now it's around 5,000. So it's definitely 5x in the last couple of years, which is great to see. And the future of crypto insiders. So that's kind of where my passions lie still. I really enjoy the idea of developing a decentralized community. So I'm hoping in the future at some time when I get some more time to kind of develop it into this almost like a DAO, like a decentralized autonomous organization where people vote on things within the community. There's incentives within it. Something cool crypto related. That's kind of the answer there.
You also have Crypto ISO on Crypto Insiders.
Yes, correct. I met him through Crypto Insiders. He found his way into the community. I saw him posting great trades and great analysis, and I really took a liking to his charts. So we kind of hit our friendship off in that community. And it's crazy to see in a year's time how close we became friends and actually business partners eventually.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. You meet so many cool people in crypto Twitter and outside on the communities on Discord and Telegram.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy how close you can get to people without actually never meeting them in person. I still to this day haven't met ISO in person, but it's awesome to understand that, you can be miles away or even countries apart from people and grow this bond and connection. And it's all in the sake of crypto. So I think that's awesome, man. That's really one of the main drivers for this space that I think makes it so cool.
It's also pretty funny that we have like internet friends. And whenever my wife hears me talking to, let's say, Baxi or ISO, she's like, you don't even know these people. Like, how can you talk to them like as if they were such close friends? I'm like, people are really good to have chemistry with them. We share the same interests. It's really hard to find people, especially in Panama, with the same interest.
I can imagine that.
Yeah. And internet is like the confluence of every fucking crypto degenerate.
It's good and it's bad, right? Because if you think about it, like a lot of the time, especially with COVID now, we can't really connect to people the same way we used to in person, right? So we try to get our socialization, our communization from each other on crypto Twitter, right? We all ship post together, we post memes, and we all laugh together. I mean, that's the ethos of crypto Twitter, man. It's a community for everyone.
Yeah, but you don't shit post much frequently.
I try not to. I try to regulate my feed. I try to only put out things that I think have value. I do occasionally ship post here and there if I'm feeling a certain way a certain day. But yeah, I generally try to keep my feed regulated, because if someone comes to my timeline or whatever, I want them to get information that I want to be a specific source of information for them, right? So if it's, educational content, if it's trading content, whatever the case is, I like to really just be cut and clean on that. I don't post often, but when I do, I try to make sure it has a good amount of value.
And great fucking entries and exits.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Unlike me, I'm like 70% shit posting, like 15% like signals and shit, and the other 15% is like educational, like way overboard on the shit posting.
It's a healthy mix in Twitter, man.
Yeah. This episode is brought to you by PrimeXBT, the exchange that makes possible to trade with leverage on legacy markets from a single Bitcoin-based account. So, Zoran, can you elaborate on your trading style and the type of trading indicators you use the most?
Yeah. So, when I started my trading career, I started pretty cut and dry as a swing trader. That style of trading most interested me just because the way I would play it on these higher time frames, say the 4 hour, even the daily, you're playing for a much larger percentage move. So at the time, as someone who hadn't even heard of leverage, swing trading gave me an opportunity in my mind to capitalize on large, high time frame moves and capture a significant amount of profits, right? As I kind of developed my own trading style, I became a trend trader primarily. So, even to this day now, my bread and butter is trading trends using Ichimoku Kinko Hyo, which is a trend following indicator that I'm sure many people have seen me post about. It's just a very clear and cut way to trade a trend very well. It works really great during trends, but it works horribly during range bound markets. So if you ever see me getting chopped up and stopped out all day, it's because we're probably in a ranging market and I'm not the smartest guy to say, okay, I think we're ranging and cut my system. So that's primarily how my trading style used to be. Now, over the last year and a half, 2 years, I've sort of developed this range bound system that I call liquidity theory. And that's because of the simple fact that I was getting chopped up and stopped out a lot whenever Bitcoin started ranging. So I needed to figure out another way to make money while I waited for these nice, 100, 200% move trends. So that's where liquidity theory came in. It's a range trading style that's primarily focused on following the big money, right? You ask yourself, well, if price is consolidating within a range, whether it's $1,000 or a $5,000 range, what are the pain points of that range? The range high, the range low, and then also where are the retail participants located? If a participant, a long player, is getting in at, let's say, price is 19,300 right now, what are the potential liquidation levels of those entries? So at 19,300, 0.5% down, a full percent down, these are 50 to 100x liquidation levels. And when you're in these tight ranges where Bitcoin consolidates, there's a high probability that price is going to come back to these liquidation levels, potential liquidation levels, collect these people's either whether it's a liquidation exactly or even just a stop hunt, collect their stops and basically reverse in the other direction. So over the last year and a half, I've really worked on liquidity theory and basically developing a range trading style for when Bitcoin has a prolonged consolidation period.
How have you fared in this chop, in this range?
Yeah, so it's actually been really beautiful. I've played, I think, without tooting my horn, I think I've played this range really well because I was able to identify the range as it happened rather than late in the cycle, I want to say. So in from May to July of 2020, this last May to July reaccumulation we had from like 8,000 to 10,000. I identified the range just after we topped out at like 10,500, 400, and then went right back down to like 8,500. So that's where I identified the range back then. And I did it really well playing it from the liquidation perspective. But now here, once we topped out at 19.5 and we went back down to 16.2, that fell in line with my trend following system. So it was a 12-hour Kijun bounce, which was 16,200. So I was able to catch that, higher low, bottom long. And right then and there, I kind of realized, okay, the market's probably going to range, right? We just had this huge move from 9,800 to 19,500. It makes sense to consolidate right under all-time high, whether it's a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever the case may be. We're going to consolidate up here under all-time high and then make that move above. So I was able to identify that range, and I still think we're in that range right now. So I've done pretty well at trading it like a range. There's still obviously longs and shorts to be taken within the range, but overarchingly, I'm trying to build just a giant swing position underneath all-time high. But in the meanwhile, just scalping, basically playing the range high to range low.
So Zoran, how your trading style has evolved from your days in college when you lost it all? Like how you started in college, like what was your typical system or the system you thought that would be awesome to start trading?
Yeah, so I learned about Ichimoku early on in college from a Forex trader called Chaos Trader 63. Hats off to him for showing me that trend following system. And I really just thought that I could, buy low and sell high, get in the beginning of a trend, and make money. So I was very naive as a trader starting out. I really thought that I knew everything, and very quickly was I humbled by the market. I don't know jack shit, man. If I come to think of it, there's very little I can say that I actually think I know in this space. I do a few things, but I do them well, and I try to just optimize that. If you try to do everything for trading, you're just going to end up without a system. You have to pick something that speaks to you, pick a system, and start developing it. So for me in college, that was trading trends, trading with the trend. The famous saying, "The trend is your friend." But since then, it's kind of developed. I've decided to be more versatile. As much as I love, I still make the most of my P&L yearly trading trends, but there's still a lot of money to be made playing consolidations, trading ranges. So, to answer your question, it's evolved from trading primarily trends to now incorporating this range-based behavior.
Also, the for the prolonged periods of chop, you try the most right now.
Yes, exactly. So that's where liquidity theory really plays in. There's a lot of alpha behind just understanding that consolidation periods, or chop solidation, as I like to call it, is really just a time for larger positions to larger participants to accumulate positions at range lows or range highs, depending on the trend. So if you can understand that, a lot of the time you just need to be patient and either sit out and wait for your trigger, or you need to scalp the range. It's one of the two. And if you're not good at scalping a range, there's nothing wrong with that. Some people are terrible at it. I used to be. I'm getting better and better. I'm by no means perfect. But if you identify a consolidation period, you just have to wait, man. Eventually, the price is going to move one way or another. And the longer time it spends forming that base, the stronger the move. So we had that consolidation from May to July, from like 8,600 to 10,005. And then we went up to 12, right? So the longer we spend forming that base, the larger the impulse is actually going to be.
Any plans to make a algo bot?
I've been primarily a discretionary trader most of my career. I've thought about making bots. I do have indicators that trigger for me and give me my own signals. But at the end of the day, an algorithm is going to take a trade indiscriminately based on what it sees and the parameters you set. Whereas I personally, if I'm just not feeling good that day, man, and I have a headache, I'm just not going to trade. So it gives me that leniency to not worry about a bot doing what I do, just better, right? So it's a catch-22. I don't think I'm ever going to develop one for right now. I really like my style because it involves some sort of je ne sais quoi of understanding market structure and liquidity. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see where it asks me again in 5 years. I'll have a better answer for you.
Cool. Maybe in the better season, you can focus on making something of an algo bot.
That could be cool. That could be very cool.
So are you dabbling into the shitcoins? Do you have any shitcoins to show?
I don't have shitcoins to show per se. I have a few dead ICO coins that I would love to have my bags pumped. I do own a fair amount of Acropolis still, and X-Trade, for anyone who's listening and knows what that is, that was by far my worst ICO ever. Those are the only two shitcoins I really own. Shitcoins are such an interesting thing, man. I've played them 2017, 2018. They were a lot of fun. Even to this day now, I think they're fun. I just think for the sizes that I'm trading, they're just not liquid enough unless I may be trading them on a derivatives exchange. So if I hopped on BitMEX and I wanted to long link, I could probably do that fine, right? But am I going to buy this low micro cap gem? Probably not. It just doesn't have the liquidity and yield. I do just fine trading these bigger cap coins. So I don't really have any shit coins to shill, but all the power to the people who do, man. I've made a fortune on them. I know other people have too. If you're in that stage of your, portfolio where you're making bank trading shit coins, by all means continue, man. It's shit coins to me, man. It's interesting because I always think of them. They're just a vehicle for larger players to accumulate more Bitcoin during periods of consolidation. That's all they're really used for. They're pump and dumps to make more Bitcoin. When price is not doing anything, it's stuck in the $2,000 range. You see alts go wild. And that's because all the bigger participants are buying all these shitcoins, pumping them. And by the time you get in, you're like, oh, look, alt season. That's when they're dumping on you. They just made 2x their Bitcoin stack, and now they're ready to pump Bitcoin to new highs. So it's just a vicious cycle, man. So if you understand the cyclical behavior of shitcoins, all the power to you.
So you're not packing any altcoins right now? Or you just focus on trading Bitcoin?
Yeah, I'm just focused on derivatives, trading Bitcoin. I do own, like I said, just a little Acropolis and X-Trade. I do own Perlin. If anyone wants to pump that for me, that would be great as well. I'll take what I can get, man.
Sweet. So Zoran, we've seen PayPal, JP Morgan, Saylor, and MicroStrategy. Past week, Massachusetts Mutual Life Insurance and Co. Is this a fluke or just the tip of the iceberg?
Honestly, man, this is just the tip of the iceberg. I think this has been happening on a larger scale for the last couple months, if not a year now. These are just the first time we're hearing about it, right? So as they say, like these institutional participants usually buy first and shill later. So, as Paul Tudor Jones already announced that, he believes in Bitcoin as an asset for diversification against inflation, that means they already bought. So I think this is a tip of the iceberg. You're going to see massive amounts of institutions, even just publicly traded companies, diverting their reserves into Bitcoin. It's a really smart play. And it is just the tip of the iceberg. Over the next, I think it's a year or so, I think JP Morgan said they're going to put probably about 600 billion into Bitcoin, all these different institutional participants. So I think we're just at the tip, dude. And if you really think about it, we're at all-time high. We're right underneath it right now in the 19,000 range. As I like to say in trading, you know, consolidation under resistance is a bullish thing. So the longer time we spend here and we don't go below 16,200, I think there's a very large chance that institutions are coming in en masse in droves right here, packing their bags along with the rest of us. And we're all going to make it, man. This is going to go 20, 30, 50, 100,000. It's going to be a six-figure asset class. But it's not going to get there until the banks are ready for it to go there. So that's my honest opinion. We're forming a consolidation base. All these institutions are coming in. And when everyone has enough Bitcoin, that's when Bitcoin's going to run up.
And with that, we end our episode. I'm very happy to have hosted you, Zoran, on Point Blank. Thanks for coming on, man. Can you tell us where we can find you?
Thanks for having me, Pano. It's been a real pleasure. You can find me at Captain Cole _1 on Twitter in the Crypto Insiders community. And then if anyone's ever interested in learning more about the education of trading, we have the toolsofthetrade.com.
Awesome. Thanks for listening. Until next time. Peace.
This episode was brought to you by PrimeXBT, the exchange where you can trade without KYC on legacy markets with your Bitcoin. You can trade commodities like gold, silver, oil, even indexes and forex. Join now and get a 50% bonus on top of your deposit for trading at u.primexbt.com/Panama.